Hello everyone, I'm Ax Sharma from Sonatype Security Research, and for a whole month now, SolarWinds breach has been dominating the news cycle. New reports keep coming up every day, whether it was the Russians or not, whether attackers managed to backdoor a popular IDE tool used by developers. And this is a constantly evolving situation. Nobody has complete answers, but at the end of the day, this was a software supply chain attack. Let me just give you a recap here. SolarWinds product Orion, which is a leading IT management software tool used by mission critical organizations, both in the public and private sector. So, one of the updates for this product, Orion, it got breached and infiltrated with malware by the attackers. As a result, over 18,000 of SolarWinds clients received malicious updates, compromising their systems. It's a very sophisticated software supply chain attack. By breaching just one organization, you manage to breach over 18,000 organizations. Some of these organizations, they work in crucial sectors essential to cybersecurity of prominent organizations and national security, of course. The malware deployed by the Orion updates is called Sunburst malware, and it's funny. While I was recording this video, two other reports emerged, which also mention that there are similarities between Sunburst malware distributed via SolarWinds Orion updates and the Kazuar.net backdoor, which has been linked to Russian APT groups in the past. Now, there's a third strain discovered in SolarWinds attacks, which folks have called Sunspot. So again, we'll keep hearing about this. This is a developing situation. Nobody has complete answers. But what I want to focus on here is how can you prevent software supply chain attacks in your organization? And Sonatype has time and time again, we have demonstrated software supply chain attacks in open source ecosystem. Nothing of this scale, thankfully, but it does set a precedent for what can happen if you don't take these seriously. A few weeks ago, Derek Weeks, who is our VP and co-founder of All Day DevOps here, he did an excellent job of explaining the events leading to SolarWinds and what course of action should organizations adopt to prevent such software supply chain attacks. So step one begins with knowing what's in your code, what we have termed software bill of materials. It's not so simple as just analyzing your application or manually reviewing your code, what dependencies you're using, because you could be using a perfectly legitimate dependency, but what if a dependency that you're using in your code has another dependency, which further has another dependency that is malicious, or it got breached in another software supply chain attack? By that logic, in this cycle you're following, your application gets breached, and not only you get breached, but all your clients who will now be using your code, they get breached. This is why it's so serious. This is a serious situation, just any kind of software supply chain attack. And we have time and time seen this with counterfeit components in different open source repositories, NPM, Ruby gems, etc. Just a few weeks ago, we talked about Git Paste 12, which lived in GitHub. And that malware contained, it's actually a wormable botnet, but I'll just call it malware. It contained 12 exploits for open source components and IoT devices. And you would think, okay, it got discovered, it got cleared up from GitHub, but just a month later, another iteration of Git Paste 12 emerged, which now had over 30 exploits. So you can see adversaries find value in software supply chain attacks, which is why these are here to stay. Sonatype research teams are also aware of the recent North Korean software supply chain attack that targeted stock investors through a messaging app. And just last month, there was a case we saw where hackers had inserted malware inside of an app, which is offered by the Vietnamese government certification authority for download. So again, another supply chain attack targeting government bodies and their customers or users. Now, the traditional advice given by security professionals to simply apply latest updates and patches is rendered moot here after seeing SolarWinds case, because users of Orion already had the latest updates. It was actually the updates that caused the compromise. Similarly, at Sonatype, in what we have seen in our research, it's the newer versions of, usually speaking, it's the newer versions of benign open source components which have malicious code in them. So it's almost it seems like that the adversaries had carefully planned this, that I'm going to create a component, version 1 is clean, 2 is clean, 3 is clean, and once I've built the trust, boom, version 4 has malware hidden in it somewhere. So the point I'm trying to make here is yes, apply the latest updates, but you need to have some sort of tooling in place to verify the integrity of these updates. Automation tools that can proactively perform deep binary analysis and use machine learning techniques that can spot malicious code before it makes its way further in your software supply chain would be ideal here. And just again, want to reiterate that different teams at Sonatype are actively monitoring the latest developments on all kinds of software supply chain attacks, including the SolarWinds incident. So get in touch should you have any further questions. Happy to help. Thank you.